This is Journeys of Empowerment, a space where lived experiences meet bold leadership and transformation starts with truth. I'm Michiel Sutjit-Rijt, and here we don't do small talk. We ignite what's real and what's next. Before we dive in, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Neotopia. Operations leads know the drill. You roll out new processes, stack on training, tighten KPIs, and still something doesn't stick. The truth? It's rarely the process, it's behavior. Neotopia helps you to solve that gap. In the awareness workshop, you'll discover why solid processes often break down in execution, why learning fades instead of lasting, and how to build teams that own behavior, not just follow the rules. Because change that drains your people won't last, but change that shifts behavior moves everyone forward. Ready to lead differently? Visit neotopia.nl. What if loneliness wasn't a sign that something is wrong, but a signal that something deeper is ready to be seen? In this episode, I connect with Vassia Sarantopoulou, founder of Anti-Loneliness, a practice that grew from one therapist's mission into a global support network for internationals. Her story invites us to rethink the stories we tell ourselves about isolation, burnout, and the need to perform. We explored the silent epidemic of loneliness and how to name it, the hidden cost of perfectionism and self-comparison, why even therapists need therapy and a space to heal, and what it takes to build a heart-led business with real boundaries. Vassia reminds us loneliness doesn't make you broken, it makes you human. And she offers this insight, grounded in years of deep listening. The moment you feel safe with your therapist, you're going to do miracles in your life. You're going to bravely dig into your own psyche, discover things, experiment, change. You're going to do that. Let's walk into it. Vassia, welcome to Journeys of Empowerment.
Thank you very much for having me here.
I was a little bit practicing your correct name. I'm going to put myself on the test. Vassia Sarantopoulou. Oh, great. I'm so happy.
Perfect.
Great to have you here in the conversation. And that's interesting. We only met a few weeks ago and we were introduced to each other by Tessa, who was in the podcast and will come out. It will already be out when this one will come out. Let's start with you are founder of a beautiful company, Anti-Loneliness. Let's start there. What is Anti-Loneliness all about and what is the mission?
It started as a very humble idea of just having my private practice. I'm a psychologist. So I was like, yeah, of course, I'm going to have a private practice, right? But then when I was thinking about naming my practice, I didn't want to name it like Vassia's practice or Vassia counseling or whatever, which is very, common and very typical. But it didn't mean anything for me. I wanted that name to have a meaning. So I was just squeezing my head and thinking like, what is something that we all struggle with, but we don't talk much about it? Irrelevant of whether we are having mental health issues or not. It's not about mental health. But what is something very common, very, very common in the human experience? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, loneliness. Yeah, we all feel it at some point in our lives. When you move to another country, as expats, internationals, when you get a divorce, when you change school, when you change job, at some point we all feel it. Nobody is excluded from that feeling. So here it is. And for me, it was, of course, the first reason that we need to talk about loneliness. We need to break the taboo because people are very, think that this is stigma or it's very ashamed to say, I'm feeling lonely. They believe that people will think that, what's wrong with you when you're feeling lonely? Why do you say that? Is something wrong with you and you don't have friends? But that's not the meaning of loneliness.
But do you think we think that people think that? Yeah. Or are people really thinking that?
Both. Both. Yeah, I mean, we are, and especially in collective cultures, I'm coming from Greece.
Yeah.
So in collective cultures, you have to belong, you have to abide by the community's rules. And if you feel like don't, then the first reaction is like, come on, give it a try, yeah? You know, like, come with us. What's wrong with you? Why do you act differently? Why do you want to do something different? Why do you have your own values? So you have to come. So it's both. We think that other people think that, but also they do sometimes. So yeah, there was many reasons. Also me being an expat, an international, leaving Greece in 2013 and coming to the Netherlands to start over everything in my life. And of course you feel like a stranger, you don't speak the language, you're feeling lonely, you start over making new friends. So loneliness in so many layers resonated with me why I should name my practice anti-loneliness.
Yeah,
And I did
beautiful.
it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you say beautiful, but not all people say that. There are many people that they love the name, really love the name. But also I've been to these expat fairs, you know, with the booths that you promote your company. And there were people like, why did you choose a negative name? Why do you talk about something negative? Well, exactly because of that. We need to speak about the elephant in the room. Why do we hide such a very unique and very human feeling? Why do we need to hide it?
And if I think of the name, anti-loneliness, what is the negativity in anti-loneliness?
Both parts of it. The anti is negative. The loneliness is a very negative feeling.
That's how my brain works. It's almost, for me, it's like eradicating loneliness. It's like anti-loneliness.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who doesn't want that?
Of course, because that's the point. That's the point behind this name. But there are people that they want me to say the same thing, but in a positive way. You know, say something about connection. Say something about, friendship. Yeah, okay, sure, that's the ultimate goal. But let's talk first about the source.
Yes. Let's talk about what anti-loneliness is doing and for who.
All right. So what started as a solo practice now is a team of 12 psychologists living in the Netherlands, and not only. We have some people in Greece, in Spain, in Portugal, in Germany, and we are supporting internationals, expats, digital nomads. We are all expat psychologists, so we know exactly what it means to uproot yourself, start over your life, the unique challenges of an international. So that's why we are supporting exactly that audience. That's what we do.
Is that part of the selection process also, that the psychologists need to be expats who've been through the same lived experiences, or the same situation? The same experiences is not even possible. We all experience the world around us slightly different or very different. But the same kind of environmental change, and where you didn't grow up and you choose deliberately to go to.
Because besides the part of the relocation, which is the logistics part, the most important thing is the existential change. You know, like you have to create new values, you have to find your new me again. You have to figure out who I want to be in this environment. I'm coming with luggage of values and challenges and experiences from my home country. What of these do I want to keep having in my new life? And what am I going to do with the new experiences and new values in the new country? So it's an existential, because you have to figure out a new identity, a new the reason of your existence, a new you. So you need to be with a psychologist that knows what that means. And usually we have clients that they have tried with the local, and they're like, they don't get me. They think that I don't have friends, but that's not what I mean. I'm talking about something else. And it's not only, heavy and, like identity crisis. It can be all sorts of problems and challenges that you face. Like, you start a family here in this country, but you don't have all the support network that you had in your country. So you have to figure out life by yourself.
Yeah, in a new environment.
New environment. Yeah.
Different rules, different expectations, different beliefs.
Adjusting to a multicultural environment as well. Yeah. You're not speaking to your community anymore, to people with the same values. You're speaking to people with different values.
Yeah.
So that's a multiple, adjustment every second.
You mentioned that, and I've noticed that it does something with my belief. You mentioned that, and I don't know if it's a belief, but you mentioned it very strongly that you have to almost reinvent your identity, right? Do you believe that we have to reinvent our identity in a new environment, or embrace identity? And is it about a new you? Is it about a new identity, or is it about embracing your identity despite that you are somewhere else? Where is it? Do we necessarily need to change our identity in a different environment?
Not necessarily. It's like you have the spotlight shining on areas of yourself that you didn't know before. So you don't have to reinvent a new identity, but you are seeing things about yourself that you didn't know that they were there.
And because of the fact that you are in a different environment, and then something triggers or enlighten it, put a light on it.
And it comes to the surface, and you realize that you have resources, strengths, skills, traits that you didn't know before. And then you're just making a new puzzle with all this.
When do people reach out normally? When and how do they reach out? Because, you have to acknowledge that you want some sort of help, right?
Yeah. In moments of pain. Pain is painful. Pain is pain, for sure. But pain is, for me, the only vehicle for change. Nobody changes when they're happy. They're like, I'm happy. Why do I need to change? My life should remain as it is. But only when we are in pain, we realize that something is not working, or something doesn't fit with me, and I need to change. I need to realize something. I need to dig. I need to process. I need to do something. So that's the moment when they reach out. Something doesn't work in their lives, relationships, decisions, and they come and say, can you help us? And usually that manifests as anxiety, burnout, a divorce. It manifests, in a very visible way, but underneath is a lot of pain.
And what sort of support and help and services do you offer?
We offer therapy sessions, and we all are trained in therapeutic modality, therapeutic approach. Our job is not something that we can do in 6 sessions. We really want to go deeper and do a transformational work and really understand the source and help the person that we have in front of us really connect with themselves. We don't know the answer, but we know that if we help the person connect with themselves, they have all the answers.
The guiding process towards...
Exactly. And that cannot be done in 6 sessions paid by the insurance.
No.
That needs commitment, that needs, time, energy, resilience as well, knowing that this is going to be tough sometimes, but very liberating other times. And then, staying with the journey and realizing all this. So that's what we're doing. Every therapist in our team is, as I said, trained, and we have a variety, a diversity of modalities and approaches. We have the systemic, we have the EMDR, the schema therapy, psychoanalytic, CBT, everything combined. And I'm really happy because they don't choose just one approach. They like, this integrative, so that they can tailor their approach and their support to the client.
Specific needs.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But you mentioned different forms of therapy. Is it also possible that, because I believe we can't have all the different kind of therapies in one person. It can be that you start with person A as a therapist, and then during the whole process you figure out, hey, CBT might be something, or EMDR might be something, and some are not EMDR trained.
Yes, that's possible. But what's more important in this journey is the therapeutic relationship, the relationship we have with your therapist.
Yeah.
The moment you feel safe with your therapist, you're going to do miracles in your life. You are going to bravely dig into your own psyche, discover things, experiment, change. You're going to do that. So if you're having a good relationship with your therapist and it is working, it's not the model that will change your life. It's this exact relationship that will bring that emotional safety in you, that will calm your nervous system, that will change the way that you are experiencing life, and then you will move forward. If at some point, of course, you feel that, this relationship is still fruitful and positive, but you would like to experiment with something else, with a new approach, or that would bring new insights in you, of course.
Of course, yeah. What are there for how many years are you now moving forward with anti-loneliness?
It's going to be 10 years next year, the anti-loneliness, but I'm a therapist for 21 years. Psychologist.
And what are the biggest shifts or differences you can see in the last 10 years when it comes to the people who are reaching out? And the reason why I ask is the world is rapidly evolving on macro level, meso level, micro level. Shifts are happening all over in the world. Technology, methodology, expectations, everything is so rapidly moving. So it's of course, and we are part of the environment. So what kind of shifts, biggest shifts do you see when it comes to people reaching out?
Okay, I can think of three. One is, remember I told you about the name, anti-loneliness.
Yes.
In the beginning, I would get requests in the contact form saying, well, I would like to have a session because of anxiety or because of depression or because of relationship issues. Nobody would say loneliness. But then I would see later on the request coming explicitly saying, I am feeling lonely. And that for me was a shift. We're saying the words, finally. We're not afraid of the word lonely. So that for me was a shift that I noticed. And there are more and more actually campaigns about loneliness, like here around me. The second shift, I think, happened during the pandemic. Before the pandemic, everybody wanted to see the therapist in person. And we thought that, online doesn't work. But then, because of the pandemic, we were forced to see our therapists or to start seeing a therapist during the pandemic because we were feeling very lonely. And we started doing that online. And we saw, both as therapists, but also our therapy seekers, that it's working. We can do it. We can have connection. We can use all our tools. We can be creative using the tools in therapy. And we can see the exact same results. If you can build connection, you can build it anywhere. You can build it behind a screen. You can build it in the same office. You can build it. So that's the second.
Yeah.
And the third is the shift that I see because of social media. So...
And what do you see?
What I see, people have higher expectations from their therapists. People know a lot now. About mental health, about psychology. They know a lot. They even come, like, I saw this TikTok video. I want to do this.
Really?
Yeah. I saw a video that talked about this term. Can you please explain it to me? And, I want to work on that. On one side, of course, it's good because finally people can talk about emotions and mental health challenges. Amazing. Finally.
Some sort of awareness also, and less stigmatized.
Stigma.
And, stigma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, people are becoming more picky. we have people saying, well, I want to have an introductory call with you, but I've also booked another 10 introductory calls with therapists. Yeah, but that's, the focus is not your mental health anymore. The focus is how am I going to be the best client, having the best therapist. We're shifting the focus. We are wasting time instead of caring for your mental health and your relationships, where you're wasting your time doing window shopping. So, yeah, that's one of the, consequences of the social media. And then they have, all these influencers, psychologists that they're talking about things, and they're using bowls and colors and, puzzles and props in their videos. And then they get the feeling that, oh my God, this person gets me.
It resonates.
Yeah, and resonates. Yeah, and it's good that you resonate, but it's another thing, an influencer that knows how to make great videos, and it's another thing, the person that sits with you for 50 sessions in the room and makes you feel safe and knows how to work with you and doesn't just get distracted by likes and, and followers, and really wants to do the connection thing.
Do you think that because of this shift, people are maybe less willing to do the actual work themselves also? So is there an expectation? Is there also an expectation that because we think we know why we need therapy, because it resonates and we heard something, or I had a chat with my ChatGPT and it was so much resonating without any lived experiences. It's just tokens and probability which comes together and which made me feel heard and understood and appreciated. And I was like, yeah, this is it. Do you think there is a potential also future, well, maybe danger or challenge that because we think we know, we are less willing to do the actual real work? It's not about pointing out to whoever. It's about the I'm worried about that.
Yeah.
So there's a little worry from my side.
Yeah. I don't worry about the not being willing to do the work, but more about having a misunderstanding of what is the work.
That's a nice distinction.
Which means that you think that's because you talked to ChatGPT and it gave you a ton of validation. That's the work?
That's the work.
That's not the work. That's not the work. The real work is actually when you are in the room with your therapist who really wants to work with you. I'm talking about a professional here. And then you experience a moment of disappointment or disconnection. If you choose to bring that up and work with that misunderstanding, disconnection, disappointment, that's the work. If you choose to say, well, it's okay, I'm going to find another therapist that will not make me feel disappointed, that's not real life and that's not the work. The real work is really seeing what triggers you and staying there to explore it.
So embracing the discomfort.
The discomfort, yeah, exactly. That's the work. That's the work, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having somebody showering you with positive affirmations, well, it's good. We do need it. All of us, we do need it. And especially if we have been emotionally deprived, sure.
Yes, but it isn't the work.
That's not the work. That's not the work.
And why if something feels so good, like, of course, why do we crave everything in food almost, which isn't always that healthy? But why do you think if it feels good, it doesn't necessarily is good for us for the healing part then? Huh?
It is good. It is good, but it's not enough. Okay. It's not that it's not good. We do need it, but it's not enough. That's why ChatGPT alone will not help it. It, of course, helps us. We feel safe, we feel seen, we feel validated. Finally, we feel validated. It's absolutely necessary to calm the nervous system, absolutely. But it's not enough. We also have to go into the moments of discomfort, of trauma, of overwhelm. We have to process them because they're just stuck in the subconscious and they sabotage our life in a very subconscious way. So we have to pick them up from there. We have to stay with them a little bit, bring them into the conscious, process them. The brain will put them into the right box, and then we can move on.
Why do we need 50? Why do you need so many? Why do we need so many sessions? Why, if we get it, if we just get it, then we're there, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that. So why do you think we need so much time? Why did I need so much time? That's the only question where I'm sometimes challenging also when I look to my healing process, and it's a work in progress for the rest of my life. So I'm really okay with that. But the question is, why do we need so much time for something we come to understand, and still we need so much time to work through it? Why do you think that is?
Well, the patterns and the behaviors and the experiences that we have been exposed and shaped us in the way we are now have been there for decades. You cannot do 3 sessions and then change the impact of decades.
Unfortunately, not now.
No. You have to talk about it again and again and again. And also, it's not a logical, rational process. Like sometimes I have couples coming to you and to me, to my practice, and they say, tell us how we should speak to each other. Tell us what we're supposed to say. And I do that as an experiment, but also I'm very open about that. And I say, I will tell you what to do, and you will see that you will not do it. Let's see. And I will tell you, like when there's a fight, you say that and you do that. Okay. So that you de-escalate the whole conflict, and then you feel safer with each other, and then you can have a more productive and helpful conversation, right? You're going to say that and you're going to do that, right? Yeah. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Because it's not rational. It's not a switch that you turn on or off.
It's even not conscious.
It's not even conscious. There's a big emotional blockage that is inside us, that at that moment we cannot see the logical answer. We cannot see the logical solution. After the fight, after the conflict, they see that. They're like, now I remember. I should have said this. Yeah, true. But there, it's another system that operates, another system that takes the control and makes us say things that we would never say, makes us do things that we are feeling embarrassed to do and to say to each other. But that's why we have to do the work, to go at the emotional part and
fascinating creatures are we, right?
Yeah, I know.
All right, anti-loneliness as is now.
Yeah.
But there's more what you're doing.
Yeah.
So what are the circles all about, and also your personal?
So while I was growing in my practice and connecting more with my clients, I figured out that there's a specific client, and I'm not talking about a specific person, a type of client that I really felt close to their struggles and really wanted to help them. And that was the client that was probably experiencing anxiety, depression, actually high-functioning anxiety or depression, like the person who was always there for others and delivering, and, nobody could see their struggles, but internally they were crushing. So that for me was the person that was struggling with perfectionism, that I have to keep a facade on, that I have to be the perfect employee, mother, father, daughter, partner, you name it. I have to show no sign of struggle and keep it all behind, keep it all inside me, have a persona actually that I would show to other people, and I would not let them see my real challenges and real struggles. So that was the perfectionism, the person who would never feel good enough, the person who would feel they don't deserve rest, the person who would struggle to celebrate their victories because they would have tons of victories. I have done sessions with people who have done completed PhDs, that they're politicians, that they're successful researchers. And obviously for me, they are successful. Obviously for me, they are like, amazing. But then they would not feel like that. They would feel like, who am I? Who are you? Are you seriously talking about that, about you like that? So they would not feel that they're worthy. They would not feel that they deserve to celebrate, that they have done something important.
It's never enough.
Never enough. Never enough. And they would even cringe when people say something good about them. They would even say, that was nothing.
This will resonate within my audience. I won't mention names, of course, but I'm thinking about quite a few people who are really close to me. That's as close as I want to disclose. Who are very well accomplished in what they do, yet struggle to receive a compliment or struggle to receive or think even, hey, maybe I did good enough. Or
Yeah. And you might think like, okay, so you go to therapy because, you cannot receive a compliment.
No.
Why? It's the internal void, disconnection with themselves, because, of course, the true self is hidden. It's only the self that is appropriate, perfect, that is really being worked on. And they don't know happy. They don't know joyful. They don't know this. Like they tell me like, by the book, I have everything. Why don't I feel it that I have everything? By the book, I've done everything I was supposed to. Find a good job, financial stability, family, good neighborhood, a house. Why am I not feeling it? What's wrong with me? And that's the void. That's the unhappiness. That's the lack of connection and joy in their lives. That's where they come. That's where they come, because they cannot go on like that anymore. And that's why sometimes they come when they realize that this manifests, as I said, as anxiety and depression, or sometimes as burnout. They just crash. Their body and their mind cannot do anything else anymore. They're telling me, I'm sleeping 12 hours a day. Why I'm not rested? Yeah.
What fuels perfectionism?
What fuels perfectionism? The lack of self-acceptance. I don't know myself. I don't accept myself. And I do what I do in order for people to accept me. That's more important, that people will accept me. That people see who I am. And that's where I will get my food, my emotional food. If you like me, I like myself. Finally. But now you understand why that's a Teflon, eh? It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick.
What a repellency. It just gets off.
Because if you like me today, I'm having a happy day. I'm having a blast. Oh my God, everybody loves me. But then tomorrow, I meet somebody else who is not really interested in me, even rejects me, even doesn't want to work with me or whatever. And then I, again, reject myself. Even though I'm the same person as I was yesterday. Yesterday I loved myself. Today, I don't like myself. I reject myself. So you see how unstable, how fluid our self-worth is because of the lack of self-acceptance, which is the other way around. We should first accept ourselves, and then, on top of that, we can sprinkle a little bit of approval by others.
Self-acceptance. Whoa, we go deep, right? I knew this. Okay, and what is in the way of accepting ourselves?
Many things. First of all, I will start a little bit with their childhood, their upbringing. It can be a growing up in an environment that gave us conditional acceptance. And not out of malicious or, like bad intentions. No.
Still conditional.
Still conditional, yeah. When there was a family gathering, they would put you in the middle and then they would talk about all your high grades and your accomplishments at school and how tidy your room is. So then you get the message, I am being praised and I'm being loved and I'm being accepted when I'm doing things, when I'm delivering, when I am being successful. So this is how we form our perfectionistic identity. And meanwhile, other qualities that are not tangible are not so much talked about. Like, for example, being resilient, being funny, being kind, being caring, being true, or sharing being honest with your feelings, sharing that. Sometimes when we cry and then, our parents are trying to do something to make us happy again, right? And you might think, yeah, what's wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're doing it really from a
good place.
Good place, yeah. Exactly. But then again, the message that we get is try to be positive. Your real feelings at this moment do not fit. We don't know what to do with them. Instead of embracing, that courage to share that you're disappointed or you're angry or whatever you're feeling, immediately we hear that criticism. No, good girls don't get angry. No, we don't talk like that. Don't get your sister, upset. Because, in happy families, we don't do that. Which is not the reality. So perfectionism is a bubble, actually. It's a bubble of how life should be. But in no level or layer, this is possible. So the conditional praise, I've also met people that they didn't have the conditional praise, but they had a perfectionist parent. And then you see that.
As an example.
As an example. You see that. You see from early on how your mother really doesn't like your body, really judges everything about her. Or suppresses her own dreams because she has to sacrifice for another bigger, purpose. Or you see your father being very successful and everybody loves them. And then you're like, I have to be like this person. And it's good for, like a model, to have a model in your life. But then again, it's not creating the space for alternative choices. For not being your father, but choosing your own journey. You don't have to be a copy of somebody else, because that's also perfectionism. I have to be a copy of somebody else. I have to imitate somebody's success.
Is perfectionism a sort of survival mechanism?
Definitely. Definitely, yeah. We are wired for connection. We want to belong. We want to be liked. And perfectionism says that if you want to be successful, you have to be accepted. And if you want to be accepted, then you have to abide by, not only rules of our society, but also the unspoken values of your community.
Yeah. And this is where, this is my alarm that I normally have to do my breathing exercise on 12 o'clock. So I have to switch that off. This comes from somewhere, right? This is really intrinsic. I can see it also in when you're talking about examples. It feels really close to you, right? And in Journeys of Empowerment is always the aim is always to figure out and to help us as audience understand where does the intrinsic motivation to help so many others, where does that come from? Because I know you now a little, but even without getting paid, you would still do this. Yeah. It's your mission. It's your. So if we look at Vassia yourself, and if we look at the trajectory of your life, where where does these few come from? Is it moments or situations or a stage in life or certain things happened, or where does this come from? This fuel, this inner drive, which is obviously showing. Where does it come from?
Yeah. Well, I'm the first one to say that I am a perfectionist. So it definitely comes from my own experience. And as I usually say, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I remember many years ago, I had this conversation with my own therapist, and we were talking. I was flirting with a burnout.
Yeah.
And we were talking about rest.
Flirting with a burnout. I was like, hey, I was looking at my clock to switch it off. And two things at the same time. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you were triggering me with flirting with
burnout.
I
could feel it coming.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her, and she was the first person in my life that taught me rest. If you can imagine that. She was the first person in my life that taught me the real meaning of rest. And she said to me, like, how was when you were a student, like, did you have rest? I was like, rest?
What is that?
How
do you spell that?
Yeah. And I realized that, of course, in this very dysfunctional educational system of Greece, we had no childhood. Like, we would have no time to rest, to play, to be creative, to be spontaneous. We would come back from school, and immediately we would have to do our homework, because you have to do tons of homework when you come back from school. And then, because school is not enough, we had the extracurriculum activities, or the same lessons that we did at school, we had to do it in a private school. Again, like doing, for example, learning English. We would learn it at school, but in a very insufficient way, in a very messy way. And then we would have to pay for somebody else to do English lessons to us. Inefficient in many ways. But I remember me being a teenager and coming back home from school, 2:00, really eating something like in a hurry, because I had to leave at 3 to take the bus and go to my tutoring lessons, which was in another city. And in between, I would feel tired, and especially, after eating your lunch, your energy, energy level really goes deep. And then that was when my system discovered power naps. I would just lay my head on my desk and sleep for 10 minutes just before I take my rucksack, and then I leave home. And then I would come back home at 8:00. And then, of course, there's no time to rest. You would have to do the homework for next day. So then I would sleep at about 11. And imagine being a child or a teenager sleeping at 11 or 12 and then waking up at 7 again. It was exhausting, but nobody would say anything, because that was the normality. That was the routine. It was all about taking, getting good grades, being, successful. And it was also part of the system that taught us that being successful at school means you will be successful in life, which is a huge myth. Huge myth. We are struggling to be so good at school, terrified of the scenario that if we get A-, we would have to sleep under bridges. Terrified. I remember a scene coming back from school, and I'm happy because I got an A. And I'm happy to tell my mom, because that's what my mom would ask. What's your grade? It's all about results. So I'm happy, and I'm going in and I'm saying, I got the results, I got an A. And she looks at me very seriously and she's like, and what about your friend, Angela? My best friend, and she's the best student in class. What was her grade? Because again, my success is defined by somebody else, right? And I say, she got an A+. And his response was like, and why you couldn't get an A+? And that's the beginning of never enough. You're never enough. And we are running on a treadmill because of that. And a treadmill is running, but never having a goalpost, never having an ending into that. And this is what I was experiencing with my business as well. I was like, okay, if I have my first 5 clients, I'm happy because I could pay my bills, or it means that it's working. I have my 5 clients, not happy. Okay, when I have my 10 clients, I'm going to be happy because that means that I can afford a bigger apartment, or I can afford something extra. I can afford the holidays. I get my 10 clients, still not happy. 20 clients, still not happy. A group of 5, still not happy. The group is growing, my business is growing, still not happy. And that's the treadmill. That's when we discover that it's never enough.
It's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you're about to reach that goalpost, then suddenly it moves to the next destination, and you're still running.
Circling back to childhood, what does it do internally when the experience of school? Could you talk about it?
Yeah.
Could you talk about it at home?
No, because you don't realize it. You don't realize that this is not okay. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's functioning into these crazy rhythms. You don't think that, that's not okay. I should be playing right now. I should be resting. I should be reading books.
No, because it was the normal at that moment.
The normal. Yeah, that was the normal.
But what did it do emotionally?
Emotionally, you man up, you suck it up, and you go on. That's what it does to you. Whatever you're feeling, there's no space for you to express it. You have to do your dues, you have to pay your dues, you have to continuously work with your grades, with your success, with doing more, with being good at everything. That was also a moment of struggle for me because I was good at all, classes. And when it came the moment to decide what I wanted to do as my career, I had no clue. I had no clue what I like.
What you like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like if you're good at everything because of the high expectations of yourself and the environment, but what do you really love?
Yeah. And remember that I told you that the true self is somewhere locked inside you, and you don't know what you like, who you are, what you value, what's important, what makes you happy. You don't know all these things because there was never the space to explore them. So I'm 17 and I have to choose a profession or the next, my university studies that will define my profession based on money, stability, demand. That's the criteria.
Expectations.
Yeah, expectations.
Yeah.
So in the Greek educational system, when you are when you're 17 years old and then you're giving the final exams, based on the results of the exams, it's defined what university you can apply to. Yeah, so it's based on the grades. But then before that, you have to create a list of the universities and the studies that you want to make. So based on your grades and what you have prioritized, then you get to choose or to go to a university of your liking, of your decision. And then I'm there with this list of all universities.
Yeah, because for you the doors were wide open, I guess, with those grades.
Trying to choose. And I had no clue. I was not one of the people that said I wanted to be a psychologist my whole life. No, I had no clue. I wanted to be an artist, paint, but then of course that was like something like that. That's a hobby, that's not a job. That doesn't get you money, right?
Right, as in that was the environment.
The environment, yeah.
Because for me it doesn't feel right. So
of course, no, of course,
okay.
Yeah, of course. There are many people that they have become artists, they have followed their passions, and then of course they became successful. But back then, the belief, the rationale was, no, that's not a hobby, that's not a work.
No.
That's not something that you would do for a living.
No.
So
it's
you had
nice
to
have and nice to do, but it's on the side.
Yeah. So that was out of the question. So it's funny because my first choices had no connection one with the other. And I would go to each one of them, whatever would be defined by my grades eventually, without having any regret for the other two. Because for me, it was just all the same. So my first choice was law school. Definitely not me, but that was my first choice. Because again, the criteria were different.
Yeah.
Second one was media communication, becoming a journalist or working, on media. And the third one was psychology. And I had really good grades, but not as good to go to law school or media. And then I went to psychology. And I said, yeah, okay, I like it. Okay, let's do it. And then, of course, after I started studying psychology, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I don't want to do anything else in my life other than that.
Do you believe things happen for a reason?
Yeah, I do.
Do you believe in serendipity?
Yeah, of course.
Because this is really, sort of serendipity, right?
Yeah.
It all turned out to be your intrinsic motivation. It triggers your intrinsic motivation, what you're doing right now. So that's happily it happened.
Yeah. And I think there was a part of me that was in the shadow. My emotions, all my psychological burden of being a teenager and really having a really hard time during my adolescence. That felt good when I started studying psychology and started making sense of the human psyche.
Yeah, and of your own human psyche.
My own human psyche,
and
human behavior.
Your environment.
Human behavior, exactly.
And how did you grow up? You had father, mother, and but also a sister.
Yeah.
And had she the same kind of challenges or different, or how did she went to school and also high grades, or how was that?
Yeah, but I think the pressure for her was less. Like, the first child always have to be the responsible, has to be, like following the rules. I remember my mom would say, like, when you go out with your friends, you have to be back at 10, for example. And 9:30 was when the party would start, people would start arriving and I have to leave at 10. But my sister, she would stay out, until 12. The privileges that she would have. So for her, it was a little bit more difficult. She was more pampered than me. But I had to be the strong and the responsible one, as it usually the case is with the first kids.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with any brothers or sisters, so
yeah.
So, but how does that work then? You have to be the example, or what do you mean?
I have to be the example. I have to be responsible. I have to be strong. I have to be kind of an adult, come on, don't be dramatic, don't be too sensitive. I have to again suppress my own feelings. I remember, my sister would make a fuss about everything, and then my parents would try really to accommodate and soothe her and make her feel better. So I would really look at them and be like, poor guys. They have to do the extra mile every single day for my sister. So I would feel responsible for them, and then I would be like, okay, they already go through a lot. Keep it together. Do your stuff by yourself. Be responsible. Be strong. Manage your own life internally, and don't ask for a lot of things. Don't share a lot of emotions. Just keep it, because they are going already through a lot. Come on. So that was my own reaction, of course, unconscious, reaction as a child, trying to protect and then to care for them.
And you mentioned again suppression. So it's suppression.
Yeah.
You go to university.
Yeah.
And by examining in psychology, I think multiple times it will trigger also things. What kind of process did it trigger? Going to university in psychology and Because as I can imagine, if you say so deliberately, again, suppression, there is something which we have to work on, right?
Yeah. For me, it was about understanding the why people behave the way they behave, or why I behave the way I behave. Like figuring out that why for me was mind-blowing. Learning about the theories, learning about the impact of early childhood experiences, learning about trauma, learning about all these things. It was fascinating, and it kind of not justified the pain, but gave me an explanation. That, the fact that I was bullied at school, it's not because I deserve to be bullied, but it's because other people's, realities and other people's traumas were showing up as bullying. I don't believe that these people are bad people, but they also carried their own traumas in a way that they couldn't carry it in any other helpful way other than bully, intimidate, and hurt others. Hurt people hurt people. Mm. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned with empowered people, empower people.
Exactly.
It's on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I really fundamentally, from deep within, believe that.
Yeah. So it offered me that some kind of a comfort to know that there is an explanation, and to help me understand and accept human nature as it is. Not compromise, not surrender, but accept that there is a part that will always be imperfect, wounded, and will seek for comfort, either in helpful or unhelpful ways.
So for you, it was really a sort of, it sounds like that, a sort of, place in heaven, to be there, to do it wasn't all easy, right? Because it was maybe also confronting. I don't know.
Yeah,
you loved everything.
Yeah, when you study it, you get a rational explanation of that. It's not that confronting. When you go to therapy, though, and then you get the connection with the emotional side of it, then it gets more confronting. When I read about it, that's why I have a video in my YouTube channel saying that we can get addicted into self-development books and self-help books because they offer an explanation, but on a safe level, on a rational, intellectual level.
The level still we can handle, right?
Yeah, we can handle that.
Yeah.
You can point fingers. You can say, ha, that's what my mom did. Yeah, ha, now I know. But that's safe, but only when you get to feel it and to process it and to understand it deeper, that's the more confronting part. But that can be an addictive thing, the self-help books and the self-development.
Yeah, we've already, the thing is with ChatGPT, with all that validation and all that affirmation and all, of course you feel sort of, and we need that, but heard, seen, appreciated, understood.
Yeah. Yet
that's part of which I come to learn from you. It's part of, and the actual work is a layer deeper.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
After university, you right away, 20 years ago, you right away started practicing psychology as a therapist, right?
Yeah. I was working in company, another company, and then in my private company. So it was different moments.
And that's I'm getting curious. How does it work? Because we all carry our own personal journeys. Yet we have, if you're a therapist, you have also your personal, your professional role. How can you balance that? So when something is triggering you, how can you balance that? When something in your professional environment triggers you, in sort of like in therapy with a client of you, how does that work? How do you balance that when you notice that? Because what you've been through, and also the part of loneliness
Yeah.
is universal.
Yeah.
I dare to say it's universal.
Yeah.
I dare to say at some point in life,
Yeah.
we feel some point of in life, even for people who don't necessarily acknowledge that, we're all at some point in our life deeply lonely.
Yeah.
So it can happen all. We can be triggered, but how do you balance that?
For therapists, I mean, therapy is useful for everybody, but for therapists is integral. It's absolutely essential. Being able to manage your own experience, your own triggers, your own emotional shifts without spilling that into your client's life or in the therapeutic relationship. That's integral. If there's a therapist who hasn't done therapy, they cannot do therapy to others. They cannot offer therapy because it is a profession that you will get triggered very, very often. It's not a job that you can do with a manual. You meet people with different wounds, with different layers of awareness, with different triggers every single day. You cannot have a manual. You cannot have a cheat sheet next to you. It will not help. So our most important safety belt is having our own awareness and having our own traumas healed, if I can say it in a very, like cliche way, but having, our own ghosts explored and processed. So that's the work so that we can regulate ourselves before we help somebody else regulate as well. Otherwise you cannot. You're just there triggering each other. So supervision and therapy is important. Supervision and therapy.
Yeah.
Integral, essential.
Supervision and therapy as a therapist.
As a therapist.
Yeah. Okay. I was looking at but is it again, then it sounds lonely, but if you have a group and you do supervision.
Yeah.
And what is the process of supervision then? Is there a sort of regularity in it, or how does it work?
Yeah. Of course, it depends. Of course, how many clients you have and how often you meet with your supervisor. But there are two, let's say, main areas that you're working with your supervisor. One is that you are discussing cases and what is challenging in this case, and then you're getting tools, insights by your therapist on how to handle these cases, so you get more of their expertise. But also, you look at what was triggered in you because of that case, and what blocked you in finding the answer in the first place. So we're also working with our own schemas, as we say in schema therapy, in supervision, and we're doing that work with our supervisor.
So it's reflecting and self-reflecting and having the conversation.
Yeah.
We talked about healing.
Yeah.
You hear a lot in media about healing. It's a very wide, very big concept. What is the definition for you of healing? Because I struggle with a definition. So it comes from personal curiosity also.
What is the definition? Yeah, I'm going to say it in many words. I cannot say it in...
No, please do so.
Yeah. I think is having processed, having embraced what has happened to you, and not in a factual level, like knowing what has happened, but actually what happened internally to you. And because of that, knowing what are the beliefs that you are carrying because of what happened to you, what are the emotions that you are stuck in, and the emotions that were not expressed, and what are the needs that were not met. So if you have that knowledge, you know everything you need to know. If I know that my need that was not met was the need for belonging, the need for acceptance, the need for self-acceptance. If I know that, that's my compass, and I'm going to work for the rest of my life to give to myself the acceptance that I've never ever had. That's going to be my compass for the rest of my life. And that's my healing. The healing is not, it doesn't have a specific duration, like the next 3 years you're going to be healed. The healing is the rest of your life. It's a journey, to put it in another way. And for me, a very strong signal that somebody has healed is when they stop worrying when they will heal.
Wow.
When they stop saying, but when is this going to end? When am I going to be healed? Well, you still have work to do. But when they stop wondering when I will be healed and they realize that this is it, it's happening now, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life, then you are healed in a profound way.
Are you also saying that healed, it's not about you are healed, it's about you're healing?
You're healing. You're healing.
Yeah,
you're healing. You have managed to get all the nasty voices from your head. You have managed to create comfort with the discomfort. You have managed to know yourself and know what you're looking for in life and what gives you real joy and rest. You have managed to prioritize your values, what is important for you. You have managed even to conquer fear.
Mm.
Like knowing that fear is part of your life, especially for perfectionists, because I also say once a perfectionist, always a perfectionist, which means that there is a part of you that will always strive for excellence, which means that you will always go out of your comfort zone. You will always want something better, something more important, higher, make more impact,
more,
yes. Yeah. That's a good side of perfectionism. It has a good side as well.
Yeah, especially for a lot around you.
Yeah, exactly. The high achievers and the high functioning people. But coming to terms with fear means that I know I'm going to live with fear for the rest of my life. If I want to go out of my comfort zone all the time, it's going to be there, protecting me or warning me about blind spots that I might not see or things that are too scary. Yeah, of course. But I know my fears and I can make peace with that and I can be comfortable and hold hand with my fear and walk forward.
Since we're a little bit heading towards for this conversation, I would love to do another conversation because I think we're only in warming up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I have a question for when it comes to looking back with all the beautiful lived experience, but also with your professional experience as a therapist. If you look back now to the younger you, 10-year younger you. 10-year younger, sorry, no, the 10-year-old you.
Ah, okay, that's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
The 10-year. What would you say to the 10-year-old you with all your experience of now, where you're standing now, or how you're feeling now, but also professional background? What would you say to the 10-year-old you?
One day in your life, you're going to have a lot of space to be happy, to rest, and to enjoy people around you. One day, you're going to have people who love to be with you, around you. Even though now you don't see it, they will love being around you. They will love talking to you. They will accept you as you are. You don't need to to be the clown. You don't need to, to entertain them. You don't need to be somebody else. You don't need to be Angela that got an A+. You don't need to be them. They will love you for exactly who you are. A little bit of an extrovert, a little bit of an introvert, but it's good. They will love all parts of you, and some of them they will not, but they will not be your people. They will not be your tribe. But one day in your life, you're going to have a space to breathe and space to be yourself and space to enjoy life. And I know now it sucks because the system around you, society around you, has a different idea about how childhood and school years are supposed to be. That's not your fault. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But one day we're going to fix that. One day we're going to compensate for that. We're going to make that happen.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And this is maybe a big stretch, but I'm going to do it anyway. What is your big dream for the coming 5 years from here on? Because, and the reason why I'm asking it, antiloneliness.com is a very powerful, very promising, in my opinion, humble opinion, very powerful, promising brand and brand name. What is your big aim? What is your big dream?
Creating a bridge between therapy seekers and therapists, but also between therapists. There's therapists, the community of the therapists, because it is a lonely profession. You just speak with your clients the whole day long. You cannot speak about your clients after your work.
No.
You have to keep it. Mm-hmm. It's very competitive. And that's the part that now has started the last 6 months. It's a therapy business circle where I create a community for therapists that not only I bridge them one within another, connect them one with another, and with this safe community, but also I bridge the therapy and the business part. Because we learn a lot about therapy in our studies, but we don't learn anything about business, how to run a practice. There are many therapists out there that they think that this is a philanthropy and we have to give our services for free, or we have to, lower our fees, or we have to be really kind and dissolve our boundaries. But it is a profession, it is a business, and we need business skills. So that's the business skill that I'm building right now, and it's growing every day, while also growing the community of all the internationals that they are changing their lives every day, moving to different spaces, reinventing themselves. And that's the anti-loneliness with all the international therapists that I am trying to connect. So that's the vision, the breeds, defeating loneliness, creating connections, my work for the therapists, my work for the therapy seekers, and that's it.
Beautiful. Vassia, thank you so much for our conversation. And we will, for sure, leave all your contact details in the show notes where people can find antiloneliness.com. Very easy, of course.
Yeah. And also there's a book coming up.
Oh, that's interesting. Now we need another episode. No, look, bring it on.
Yeah,
the book.
Yeah,
no. Now you mention it.
I will mention it really shortly. Yes. Now there's a book coming up. And I told you how passionate I am to work with people who are struggling with perfectionism and burnout. So that's what the book is about. A lot of stories from our clients, from my personal story as well that I'm sharing there, but also full with tools and all this paradigm shift that we need to do in our lives in order to change from perfectionism to being humans, from all these unrelenting standards to actually allowing ourselves to be ourselves, be our true self, from breaking this facade and connecting with ourselves with authenticity. So that's what the book is about. It's called Locked in Work Mode.
Locked
in work mode.
In work mode. And work not necessarily doesn't have to mean only work.
It's work mode.
But it's work mode.
You go on holidays, you're in work mode. You meet your friends, you're in work mode.
And the work mode, what you mean is you have to always, that's a question.
Yeah.
So do you mean, this may be better to phrase it like this, do you mean by work always feeling the need to do something? To
have
feel
results.
Yourself validated, and you will never feel validated or fulfillment or whatever because it's not about the doing.
No,
it's about accepting who you are.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah,
soon.
Vassia. Wow, and I enjoy the learning steep learning curve while we're writing. I can imagine that's also an interesting one since it's a topic which is so close by heart. It's also again you love to challenge yourself, right?
That's the perfectionist in me, of course.
Do you believe that it's perfectionism? It's part maybe of perfectionism, but it doesn't necessarily has to mean you're a perfectionist. Thus, you are challenging yourself. It can be. It's inside you.
Yeah.
It's the good part of. Maybe it's a good part.
It's the good side of perfectionism that wants, as I said before, like to have more impact, to help more people, to become a better person.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But then if we do that while beating ourselves up, then that's the toxic perfectionism.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining and for your openness. And well, I hope this is only the first conversation we will have in this podcast with you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I really enjoyed it.